a lot of people right now, perhaps even our esteemed panelists, would identify the Saunders phenomenon, and they look at his embrace of the term socialism, say that it was unexpected, and judge this to be a hopeful sign. That perhaps Americans, broadly speaking, large numbers of Americans, have grown tired, that they're fed up, that they're not buying it anymore. With the it being neoliberal capitalism of the last several decades, with all of the inequitable and pernicious effects that it has on average citizens' lives, some of which have already been mentioned. So I'm wondering if our panelists agree with that this signals, that Sanders' success signals a deeper dissatisfaction with contemporary capitalism than maybe we thought. But I'm also wondering what they make of Trump, if Trump doesn't maybe signal the same thing. Whether if there's dissatisfaction with contemporary neoliberal capitalism, and if they agree that it could kind of move in either direction, how do they sort of assess our current moment? In other words, it's sort of one thing to be very dissatisfied with current arrangements, and then another thing to move towards a more socially democratic or socialist future.
Sure. Well, it's certainly true, right, that people's increasing immiseration produces an interest in both further left and right-wing candidates. I mean, Trump is odious, of course, but he says a bunch of stuff that's true. I mean, not just about Ted Cruz's face, right? It's like, that's true, but there's also a lot of other... Yeah. I mean, we all want to say it.
Social scientists have done studies.
Right. So, but at the same time, when he says, the people in power are not listening to you, the people in power are lying, we all actually know that that's true, right? And so it's very appealing to have someone not bullshitting you. And when you look at the number of people, and we don't really know how many people, but many of us who have reported on the election have met them, who say they're either for Trump or Sanders, right? And what does that mean? Of course, to me, that sounds sort of nuts, like they represent two totally different things. But to people who feel like they're being lied to and made a fool of, and they would like someone to take their concerns seriously, it makes total sense to want to vote for one of two people who does not actually appear to be bought off by Wall Street, for example. And that is, in fact, true of both of them. So I think this sort of makes sense. I mean, the other thing to look to is I think there is a generational question wherein people roughly our age, if they did what they were told they were supposed to do and went to college, odds are they have a ton of debt, right? Average $35,000 of debt. For Black students, it's actually much more. And so they did what they were supposed to do, and they got screwed. And they came out into a lousy job market. They've scrabbled to put things together. They're not living the dream they were sold. It sucks. And they feel like they've been let down. And I think further, we're looking at a political generation that was barely sentient in 1989 and perfectly sentient in 2008 when Wall Street crashed and may have lost homes, may have suffered in the job market, may have lost money. And so they're not afraid of Bernie Sanders. They're not afraid of a guy who calls himself a socialist. They're afraid of Wall Street. They're afraid of Hillary Clinton taking money from Wall Street. They're afraid of the Republicans who take money from Wall Street to some degree. And so I think there's a pretty clear thread through that sort of political coming-of-age moment, whether or not you were involved in something like Occupy, to a sort of openness and interest in someone like Sanders.